They said it couldn't happen. They said the media was untouchable. But now, in a move that's sending shockwaves across two nations, the United States and the United Kingdom, Donald Trump is folding his legal cards and declaring war on one of the world's most respected broadcasters, the BBC. That's right. While the world was focused on trade wars and red state politics, Trump's team quietly drew up a legal threat, a lawsuit of $1 billion targeting the BBC for what he claims was a manipulated portrayal of his words. And this, dear viewer, could change not only his personal fight with the press, but the broader battle for truth in media, platform accountability, and the power of public broadcasters. So ask yourself, is this just another headline grab? Or is this the beginning of a deeper war, a media war, that could reshape how the world watches and believes news? It all started with a documentary. In October 2024, the BBC flagship program Panorama aired, in the heart of a heated U.S. election season, a segment that featured Trump's speech on January 6, 2021, the day his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. But, according to Trump's legal team, those clips were stitched together, edited in a way that created the impression he was inciting violence, when in fact they came from separate parts of his speech nearly an hour apart. In response, Trump's lawyers sent a letter to the BBC, retract the documentary, apologize, and compensate, or face legal action for no less than $1 billion in damages. The BBC admitted an error of judgment and slapped an apology on the table. Its Director General, Tim Davie, and News Chief, Deborah Turnus, resigned in the fallout. Why does this matter? Because a public broadcaster, backed by the UK government, but watched globally, is suddenly under threat. And the guy threatening it is a former U.S. president who thrives on media conflict. The formula is familiar: outrage plus accountability plus spectacle. But this time, the battleground is more than just a talk show set. Let's unpack what's really at stake. For Trump, this isn't just about one clip or one network. It's about reputation, political leverage, and the message: you cannot portray me this way without consequences. In his words, they defrauded the public and they've admitted it. I think I have an obligation to do it. For the BBC, the risks are enormous. A $1 billion lawsuit could not only hit its finances, but also its credibility. And this isn't just about legal exposure. It's about trust in journalism, about whether editorial decisions can be held to account when major figures say they were misrepresented. Add to that the timing, as the documentary aired just before the 2024 U.S. election, and the liberal free speech versus media bias debate is raging, and you have a perfect storm. Some legal experts say Trump's case faces steep hurdles. Under U.S. defamation law, a public figure must show not just false statement, but actual malice, that the broadcaster knew the statement was false or recklessly disregarded the truth. Also, jurisdiction is key. Was the program broadcast in Florida, where Trump resides, or did enough U.S. viewers see it to claim harm? If not, the case could be dismissed on procedural grounds. In short, it's not guaranteed Trump wins, but the spectacle is already done, and the message sent. Now let's zoom out, because this fight is about more than one network. It touches on the future of media power, geopolitics of information, and the fragile relationship between public broadcasters and political figures. Consider this: the BBC is funded by UK license fees, has an international reputation, but is still vulnerable. If a high-profile individual can threaten a $1 billion suit and sway the narrative, what does that say about editorial independence? On the other side, Trump is broadcasting to his base. You challenge me, I hit back. It's a leverage play. Media outlets have been his target before. CBS settled for $16 million after an editing dispute with 60 Minutes. If this model works, threaten a broadcaster with a huge claim, force an apology or retraction, It could chill investigative journalism, intimidate news organizations, and shift the media landscape toward more cautious coverage of powerful figures. And geopolitically, the BBC has global reach. A campaign against it sends a signal. You publish this way at your own risk. That could embolden other leaders or states to challenge media oversight and global press standards. So, what happens now? The BBC has until the deadline set by Trump's letter to respond. Retract the segment, apologize, compensate, or face legal action. Internally, it must conduct damage control, regain trust, review editorial processes, and answer questions about oversight. The board shakeup is just the start. Trump's legal team will decide, file the suit in Florida or negotiate. The question, will this end with a settlement, quiet, behind closed doors, or a full court press and marathon litigation? Legal analysts lean toward settlement, because going to trial could expose more than just the BBC's editing choices. It risks subjecting Trump's own words to intense scrutiny. Meanwhile, the public watches. Media outlets globally will take note. A precedent here could redefine how much legal risk broadcasters face when covering controversial figures. And for Trump supporters, this is a win already. The narrative of me versus the media is alive. For his critics, the question looms. If media organizations can be legally intimidated, what happens to free press?
This isn't simply a legal dispute. It's a clash of power between a media institution and a political figure who refuses to be portrayed in a certain way. It's about who controls the narrative. When a broadcaster edits a major speech and a former president says it misled the public, you have a crisis not just of journalism, but of trust in institutions. If millions believe what they see isn't accurate, the foundation of informed democracy shakes. For Trump, the move says, I will not be passive. For the media, the message says, you are under threat. And for the public, we're caught in between, reading headlines, watching footage, trying to discern what's real. In the end, this might be less about $1 billion and more about 1 billion eyeballs and 1 billion beliefs.
So here we stand, a former U.S. president, a major global broadcaster, a billion-dollar threat, and a public watching the interplay of power and media. Will the BBC buckle and apologize? Will Trump file the lawsuit? Will other media companies take note and change how they operate? The bigger question, when media and politics become battlegrounds, where does truth live? As you watch this unfold, ask yourself, are you comfortable trusting a single broadcaster with global influence when they may face threats for how they edit a word, a phrase, a sentence? Are you comfortable with a world where a political figure can demand retraction, saying they were misrepresented? Because this isn't just about Trump or the BBC. It's about the future of media, democracy, and accountability. Leave your thoughts below. Do you think the BBC acted unfairly? Is Trump justified in seeking compensation? Or is this a dangerous precedent for press freedom?